So, the 2023 Formula 1 season is about to begin. But before we actually get to Bahrain and see the pace of certain teams, I actually wanted to make a little video and give you my predictions for the 2023 season. Let's get right into it. In number 10 we have Williams. A shocker, I know. The reason for putting Williams last is not really a surprise to anyone. I do not believe that they will actually make any impact and progress this season. While sure, they have a brand new driver in the form of Logan Sargent, which finished 4th in his Formula 2 season, I don't expect him to make waves, although I do expect him to be a little bit of an improvement over Latifi. Williams has also announced a partnership with Gulf Oil. This partnership actually is pretty interesting. This is because the partnership is intended to be a multi-year partnership, so this is not just a one-off season for them, like we have seen in the past with teams like Velas from Ferrari, which have been basically one-off seasons, or like Rich Energy before. So basically this is an actual sponsor wanting to sponsor Williams for multiple seasons. This is actually huge, and this shows probably a bit of a turning point in the team. Another thing that actually shows that the team is maybe turning around is their new team principal. Jost Capito has actually left the team at the end of last year, I don't know if you remember, but their new hire, someone very special. We are of course talking about James Vowles, former Mercedes chief strategist and replacement to Toto Wolff. But since Toto Wolff has actually bought into the Mercedes program and doesn't seem to really want to leave the reign just yet, James Vowles actually got the Williams job and Toto told him to go for it, actually do something else. I mean, you were supposed to get my job and now you can't, so off he went. Honestly though, Williams probably won't make any inroads this season and we probably won't see anything special of them. And while sure, their driver lineup is a little bit more interesting than last year's, I really don't expect a lot of performance from that team. Number 9, AlphaTauri. AlphaTauri actually sees a departure of long-term Red Bull driver Pierre Gasly, who has left for Alpine. And in its place is getting Nick De Vries, which last year actually put an impressive performance at Monza. However, that's all of the great news from AlphaTauri. They don't really seem to have made any changes to the team other than the driver, and it's because of a necessity. So the driver, although impressive last year, is also a rookie and is partnering Tsunoda, which is going for his 3rd year in the sport and also has not really impressed. Actually, he has done the opposite and crashed a lot. So you tell me. Honestly though, AlphaTauri doesn't really seem set to do anything impressive this year. I fully expect them to copy Red Bull and to keep on buying parts from them. Also, I fully expect the team to be sold in the near future because I don't really see the reasoning for Red Bull to keep them around. Maybe selling them or parts selling them and keeping them as an option for their drivers in the junior program. Honestly, I just don't see the usefulness of that team, and their old livery is a big pile of meh. It's better than last year's, but still meh. Number 8. McLaren. Oh boy, McLaren is in trouble and they're not hiding it. Honestly, if you saw the release of the car, you know what I'm talking about. You had Andrea Seidel leaving the team, you have Daniel Ricciardo leaving the team, although for actual reasons, really good reasons. But overall, in the presentation, you could see how deflated the team was, you could see the lack of confidence in that team, and above all else, they wanted to temper expectations, and this is not a good sign. They know they messed up, they know that the car is bad, and I fully expect them to drop down the order because other teams are looking on the rise and quick. They have also the new driver Oscar Piastri, which they managed to actually get from Alpine, which was a great hire, don't get me wrong, but overall I don't really expect anything else from the team. Whilst they have no issues on the money front and they have plenty of sponsors, I don't know what they're doing. Maybe their aero department is in shambles. I don't know what the team is thinking. Basically, the car is going to be a tractor, mark my words. Also, the team said that they will bring on developments, but honestly, think about it. If the car is crap, last year's car was crap, you will have a brand new wind tunnel next year. What do you expect them to do? Actually bring updates? I don't think so. I think that they will bring some updates, make the car drivable just so Norris doesn't kill them, and then Norris leaves anyway, because honestly that team is kind of playing with fire right now. They have one of the hottest assets on the market right now in the form of Lando Norris, and they are messing up. They are not making a good show and they will pay the price for it. I fully expect Norris to actually leave the team by the end of the year. If he doesn't, then he must see something really big behind the scenes, because we cannot see that at all at the moment. One last thing that it's important to talk about McLaren. Andrea Seidel left and Andrea Stella actually stepped up to the team principal role. I'm putting it in quotes because actually between Zach Brown and Andrea Stella, it's not really a team principal, it's a team representative or whatever. I'm not sure honestly. But Andrea Seidel was actually a cornerstone in McLaren. His absence will be felt, mark my words, McLaren will be very, very different this year. Number 7. Haas. The American outfit is on a roll lately actually. They have just hired a brand new driver to replace Mick Schumacher, which was actually a bit controversial at the time, but right now I think they have made the right choice. Nico Hülkenberg has actually proven to be a very dependable driver. He scores points reliably, although he has never gotten a podium nor a win, and he has wasted his chances there. But if you think about it, he's exactly what Haas needs right now. A solid driver who doesn't usually in it. He has come from retirement to help out with Aston Martin and done an honorable job at it. Why wouldn't you give him a second chance? Honestly, I think it's actually a good hire, and I think he's going to prove a lot of people wrong. Also, Haas has 2 new sponsors in the form of Chipotle and MoneyGram, the latter being their title sponsor, and I do think that with this extra money and their offices in Maranello, I think that they might actually come up and overtake McLaren and get a pretty good season out of it, but we will have to wait and see. Honestly, I'm optimistic, but let's see. Number 6, Alfa Romeo. This is actually Alfa Romeo's last year in the sport, if you believe it. I don't. By the way, I'll tell you later why. Basically, this is their last year with Sauber. Sauber, of course, being bought by Audi, or partially bought, they were not completely sold. But from 2026 onwards, the Sauber project will be turning into the Audi project, so Alfa Romeo is dipping now. They've kept their drivers with Zhou Guanyu and Valtteri Bottas and gotten a new title sponsor in the form of steak, not the food. I was also intrigued and confused. I still am confused, honestly. However, the team is actually pretty confident. You could see on the release that not only do they love the looks of the new car, which I also do, the car looks dope, thank you Alfa Romeo, but they say that it's a lean and mean machine. That's great. I actually think that they will show a lot of people wrong, and I think that they will have good results, and good for them. I'm really happy. I really like Alfa Romeo, and I fully predict that they will be sponsoring Haas soon. Yes, why shouldn't they? Think about it. Haas has offices in Maranello. Alfa Romeo is an Italian team. Why shouldn't they sponsor Haas? I think it's a match made in heaven. We will have to see, but I do think it's the next logical step because they cannot keep on with Sauber, and other teams, honestly, they don't have really a partnership with Ferrari. If I was the Alfa executive, I'd be ringing to Haas right now. Number 5, Aston Martin. This is the team that I'm looking for this year. And yes, I do believe that they will be making a great jump into 5th position. And the reason is actually pretty simple. 1, I think they've gotten a driver upgrade. Now, I'm not saying that Vettel was washed up or anything like that, or that he was not as great a driver as Alonso. What I'm saying is, by the end, you could see that Vettel's heart was not in it anymore. And although he was still fighting it and he was still doing his job, you could see it was not the same Sebastian that we saw in Ferrari. What I do believe, though, is that Alonso is a dog and he will not let go. And I fully expect him to do a better job than Vettel did up until now. Also, another thing that actually surprised me, and during the car presentation, if you saw it, the car not only looks great, there is a certain confidence in that team. I do believe that even though that Lawrence Stroll is a very hands-on boss, I think that the team can do their jobs. The brand new factory actually opens this year. It's not fully functional, but by mid-season it will be, along with their new wind tunnel. So I think that mid-season there will be some interesting upgrades. And even if they don't finish 5th this season, which I do still believe they will, next year for sure 5th. I don't think that any team will be able to challenge them, and I think we are about to see the rise of a brand new team. Honestly, I'm very hyped for it. Number 4, Alpine. This should surprise no one. Alpine was clearly the 4th best team last year over McLaren. They were much faster. They had really bad reliability though. That was their main issue. But as long as they can fix it, and they said they did, I don't think any team can actually come close to them in the fight to get into the top 3. Basically, I think that Alpine's aero department is a gold mine that is currently really not appreciated, because Alpine's infrastructure is nothing special. They actually have pretty meh headquarters, and they're doing a fantastic job. Even last year, you could see that their car basically did not their car didn't do this, you know? And honestly, that really shows that they thought about things. Their design was pretty decent. They have since actually adopted semi-Red Bull, semi-Ferrari style. Also, one thing, if you actually saw the leaked images from the Alpine and from the Red Bull, those 144p images that were really bad, you actually could see that the Alpine's nose is a bit wider, and so was the Red Bull. So I actually think that the Alpine is on the money here. I think they actually have the correct approach to aero design, and I think they will be pretty good. Now, the team could also implode because of their drivers. Ocon and Gasly, they're not friends, they do not hide it. I actually hope for them to be adults. What I also expect from Ocon, though, is for him to grow up a bit. His comments about Alonso honestly put me off a lot. I was never the biggest fan of him, however, I could respect him as a driver, and his history is actually one of the better ones for sure, right underneath Lewis Hamilton's story to actually become a racing driver, because his family actually fought a lot, so I respect that man. However, his comments about Alonso, just grow up, dude, come on. Also, I don't really like their team principal. Otmar Safnauer never impressed me. However, the whole team's atmosphere, that's what matters to me. And in their presentation, even though it was with the 2022 car, they actually said what they did to the car. I think that team, Alpine, if given the resources, they could grow a lot higher than other teams. So, now we are left in the top 3, and that was quite obvious which teams were going to be. So before I actually give you my prediction for the top 3, I'm going to talk a bit about their teams. Starting with Mercedes, since they finished 3rd last year, they actually have a better looking car this year. Thank God, I hated last year's car. It was so ugly. This year's car not only has a decent livery in my opinion, even though it's mostly black just to save on some weight. I like it way better than silver, so I'm not really complaining on that front. So the new car actually looks like a fighter jet, which in my book is a plus, and Hamilton and Russell seem really motivated. Toto also seems motivated. I don't know, the team seems motivated, but I'm not sure that they will be able to fight for the championship just yet. The reason for it is actually pretty simple. Whilst they had a concept which they kept with, the concept last year didn't really work, so they are a bit on the back foot on terms of actually having a concept that worked. Now, it's Mercedes, and we all know how they operate, and by last season's ending, they actually could fight for wins. But let's temper expectations. I honestly don't think they will be fighting for the title, so little spoiler, they are not P1. Then we have Ferrari. This year Ferrari seems really confident, and that's really good. Also, they have a brand new team principal, out with Binotto, thank God, and in with Fred Vasseur. Now, I'm going to be completely honest, I never really considered Fred Vasseur to be a great team principal. However, in his comments and the way he approaches the issues that Ferrari has, currently being mostly strategy related, I actually got a lot of respect for that man. And not only that, a little bit of hope. After all, last time Ferrari actually hired a Frenchman to be their team principal, we all know what happened. As you can see, I'm clearly a Ferrari fan, so I'm biased and I don't care. Also, and from the team launch, you could actually see that the team has a lot of confidence in their package. The car looks great, and the fact that they just showed it to everyone and then drove it live actually shows a lot of confidence in that team. Also, the CEO's comments about the Ferrari actually being on an unprecedented level of speed shows the confidence of the team. Actually, if you remember, a few months ago, before Binotto was sacked, he actually said that this year's engine would be a bomb. Now, I know that Ferraris last year were blowing up, however, in Italian it actually means that it will be really good, and I honestly believe him. Now, I said that thank God Binotto left, but I wanted to make it really clear. I actually wanted him to stay, but on the engine department, which I know would be a downgrade for him, and that's the reason why he left. However, I rate him really highly in making engines. If you think about it, Ferrari was always very competitive in the engine department. However, other issues like reliability, not so much. Given that they are Italian, that really shouldn't surprise you.
Italian cars, acceleration great, braking not so good.
However, I fully expect this team to actually create something this year. At least I really hope so, as they are carrying the hope of the Tifos in their hands. Finally, we have Red Bull, and this is a tricky one. Now, of course, that they have been champions 2 years in a row, driver champion in 2021, and in 2022 they got both titles, but still. And here's the thing about Red Bull, I actually don't know what to expect of them this year. Now sure, they get 10% less time in aero development, but we all know, and this is a fact, that Adrian Newey has a fully functional wind tunnel inside of his head, and he will use it. He's using it right now. So, what will the team actually create? A better car, a worse car? Honestly, I fully expect it to be a better car. But let's go with the predictions. So in 3rd place, I've actually chosen Mercedes. Sure, they will be a lot closer than they were last year's. However, I don't see them winning just yet. They will win races, don't get me wrong. I do believe that this will be a 3-way title fight. and I so hope it as well, but I do fully expect them to be third. In second, I actually expect it to be Red Bull, and the reasoning is actually quite simple. Now, if you have seen the news, you actually know that Red Bull has been making a more pointy car. That means that the front end basically turns in better and then the back end kind of slides, which is what Max Verstappen likes. Now, Max Verstappen has gone on the record multiple times saying that he likes a pointy car. That means that the car basically turns in faster and the rear end of the car is actually a little bit loose. This is called oversteer. And Max Verstappen has said multiple times that an oversteery car is always faster than an understeery car. The understeery car cannot be faster. Now, on the other end of the garage though, it's a bit different. Perez actually prefers the opposite, so an understeery car, which is a bit sluggish turning in, but has a really stable rear end. However, this actually creates a conundrum for the team. Do they build the car more towards Perez and hope that Max Verstappen's raw talent actually overtakes it, or do they satisfy the top talent and just tell Perez to deal with it? Honestly, they seem to have gone with the deal with it route. I do believe it's the right route to go with, especially now that they have Daniel Ricciardo and their bags and just waiting maybe he gets a drive. I don't know, I really like Daniel. It would be awesome to see him back. But the big core issue here is I do believe that Perez, who has also stated that wants to fight for the championship, won't be really able to do anything about it. Not only that, but if you think about it, if he actually wants to try to go for the title in a car that doesn't suit him, his two biggest strengths are gone. His first biggest strength is that he's really good on tires. His second biggest strength is that he is consistent. I don't believe that he will be consistent this year. I fully expect actually Perez to crash and burn this year. I don't think that the oversteery car is good to his nature and he will ruin his tires. He will be way too twitchy, being prone to mistakes and crashing. And that reason is why I put Ferrari in first. Ferrari, I don't know why I switch between both, are my team. And I'm biased to say that they will win, but I honestly think they have a chance this year, even more than last year's. And the reason is simple. Last year's car would have fought for the championship if it was not for the safety team directive that made every team raise the cars. If you remember, on the beginning of the year, the porpoising was so severe that they said it was actually a safety issue. The Ferrari was not as dominant as before, and I fully expect them this year, with no team directive, to actually be a little bit more competitive. Also, if you have actually seen anything about Ferrari last year, you would know that after the mid-season they didn't really bring a lot of updates. I think they brought like one package and that was it, because they knew that they couldn't fight it anymore. Also, the problems in Austria cemented a little issue that they knew they had with the turbo. They have fixed it now, theoretically, as they said, and they've cranked up to the full power that the power unit can actually do. So I'm fully expecting a reliable Ferrari, a fast Ferrari, and overall a team that can actually challenge for the title. And I really hope that they can, and I honestly think that if there is any year that they can do it, it's this year. Unless Mercedes pulls a Mercedes, then honestly I'd be really sad. I mean, I don't hate Mercedes, but I really love Ferrari. So these are my predictions. Make sure to type yours in the comments because I will respond to you. And if you actually enjoyed this video, I'll give it a thumbs up. Thank you so much for your time. Have a nice day.